Recording.
Morning,
Hey Mark,
Betsy.
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. How was your holiday?
It was great. Nice to have a
Good.
break. Yeah, I'm in Maine at the moment, doing this remotely. So, how about you?
Yeah, it was a nice break. It was like
Good.
a week and a half of time, not solely to forget about work, but at least not to be in the middle of it all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all good. Anything exciting on the horizon?
No, not really. Pretty quiet. We're shifting into budget season at the moment. Sorry, I'm letting people in from the
Yep, no, it's okay.
different pool at the same time. Yeah, we're our focus right now, I guess, is twofold. COVID seems to be just hitting every department in town, and then which I'm going to touch on a little bit later, and then
Mhm.
getting ready for the fiscal 23 budget season, which is
Right.
approaching quickly. We're presenting in just a few weeks. So,
Uh,
good morning, Richard.
Good.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Morning, Richard.
Hi, nice to see
Same
snow
to you.
on the ground in beautiful Great Barrington.
Not for long.
Well, fortunately, it's only a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you in Great Barrington, Richard?
Are you kidding? No, no,
Okay.
usually, I mean, it's true. Usually, by next week, I would come back for a week, but with COVID, I see no virtue in sitting in commercial airplanes and airports. So
Yeah.
this year, I'm going to ride it out. I'll be stuck in Puerto Vallarta all winter.
It's a rough life.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the good news is things like Zoom, you know, before all of this, I used to feel like, yeah, you make a phone call here and there, but things have gotten so fluid. In fact, it doesn't cost anything additional to call Mexico or from Mexico.
Right. Well, we have a
Yeah.
few other people on the line in the participant pool, which you cannot see at the moment. I don't think you can see them, can you?
No.
Okay.
All I can see is that there are 5 participants.
Okay. Yeah, we have a few other folks just watching, and I think we'll get started in a few minutes here. So Amanda DeGeorgis, our library director, will be our speaker this morning. Oh, Betsy, while I have you on the line, I wanted to ask you, and we can touch on this later if there are business owners on the line.
Yep.
But I wanted to ask you if you could please maybe help us a little with the sidewalk signs downtown. We went around and dropped off a letter to each of the retailers and restaurant owners that has a sidewalk sign somewhere, whether it's in front of their building or at the end of a sidewalk. During snow and ice events, folks are leaving them out. They're leaving them out overnight, and it's making it next to impossible for us to clean the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So I really was trying to be careful in our approach because I did not want it to seem like town hall coming down on our retailers and restaurants. So we
Right.
dropped off what I thought was a very nicely written reminder to property owners, business owners, and I don't know if anyone read them. We kept it short and sweet. It was a one-sheeter. It doesn't appear that anyone read them. We're still finding signs out all over the place, but I would really like to just take a soft approach and not have to start scooping signs. I don't want town hall to be in a position of having to do that. So if there's anything you can do to help us and spread the word, I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark, would you send me that one sheet and I'll distribute it to my retail tenants?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
I know that you have, Richard has Heyday and Rob's Records, which both have stuff out on the sidewalk, because I just walked by it. So obviously they might not have read the letter.
And I think the other thing that we really want them to be aware of is that their signs need to be placed in an appropriate location, not dropped in the middle of the sidewalk so that people are forced to go into their store or around them, keeping folks like, folks that are using walkers or wheelchairs in mind also, in addition to our own clearing of snow and ice.
Yeah, we can put something in the e-news.
Great.
Mark,
Again,
is the parking lot 100% complete? I mean, I know visually, to me, at least on my cameras, it looks all except, I think, one pole, which is a wooden pole. That's temp, right?
We're at substantial completion at this point, but you'll see a little more work in the spring. Planting, seeding, final touch-up. The new lights should be going in over the winter also. We won't wait until spring for that. All the underground infrastructure is obviously in place. So you'll see some work out there soon, lighting wise.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, it really, really came out, frankly, even better than I expected. But following up on that, the great debate about where to put P signs, as in parking. Is that on anybody's radar?
Yes. Chris right now is working on some wayfinding for downtown Great Barrington.
Okay.
So that is on our priority project list, and we'll be talking about that again at the end of January. Just giving folks a few minutes here as they come in, offering them a promotion if they'd like. It looks like we have 3 other people at the moment, 2 other people, sorry, participating but not on your screen. So we'll be a small group. And by the way, I'm in Maine at the moment, so I'm calling in virtually as well here from out of town, but I'll try to keep this morning's coffee chat to a minimum. I hit the road.
A quick question. I know that you were feeling okay about just having this meeting advertised on the front of the website, but kind of out of sight, out of mind, even though I know, it's a set time every month and it's the same. I totally get that. And basically in people's minds, well, we told them it's this day every month, so they should just know it. It's just people they just don't think about it. So I'm surprised that in order just to get more input or more people knowledgeable of what you're trying to tell them, that like a flyer doesn't go out the week before each month, just saying, don't forget, it's a coffee hour with the town manager.
I do send an email out. I did not, however, send an email out this month just because I usually do it a few days in advance, but I've been in Maine since Monday morning, so I wasn't able to do that. I didn't have that contact list. I'm working on an iPad here, so we do post it on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our website. It's on our town calendar, and I realize some of those things aren't regular visiting spots for many people, but
right. Well, if you have a set flyer, if you send it to me, then we can just put it in our calendar to send it
Sure.
out in the Thursday e-blast prior to the Wednesday meeting.
We can do that. That would be great. Thank you.
Mhm.
And Richard, I'll get the sign one sheeter over to you as well. Okay, looks like we have someone with their hand up. Sharon, you're good to go.
Oh, hi. I don't know, am I a disembodied voice to you guys or? Or
I'm
is it
sorry.
a picture?
We
Anyway,
can see your photo and hear you.
oh, all right, all right. I hope it's a good one. Mark, where do you, you said you send out an email about this meeting, and who gets that email? Because I haven't gotten any emails and I don't know. I'm just sort of getting into this, so.
Yeah, Sharon, if you want to just provide me with your email, if you want to send it to my email account, or you can just mention it to me now, I'll add you to the list. The list has been growing over the past couple of years, and I just add folks that either regularly attend or have expressed an interest in attending on a regular basis.
Okay, so I send it where?
My email is M as in Mark, and then
Okay,
my last name.
that's fine. I think it's listed, isn't it, on the
It's
town?
on the website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is really the first time I'm attending. Is there, do we have an opportunity for Q&A at some point, or?
Yeah, actually, that's a great
In the
segue, Sharon.
audience?
We normally have a. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Did I cut you off?
Oh, no, I just said Q&A from the audience, so to speak.
Yes, we do. So what we'll do, I'm just gonna, now that we're after 10 o'clock here, I think what I'll do is just welcome our guest. I'm gonna ask Amanda DeGeorgis, our library director, a few questions, and we'll have a brief discussion. Then we'll open it up for questions to Amanda, and then a general discussion after that.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for joining. Looks like we have a few more people coming in. Okay, let's get started. We have 11 people on the line at the moment. I just wanted to say good morning to everyone and thank you for attending this morning's virtual coffee. Let's get started with our speaker for the morning, Amanda DeGeorgis. Amanda's our library director for both Mason and Ramsdale libraries. And welcome, Amanda.
Thank you.
There you go. So I'm just gonna, I think what we'll do again is I just have a few questions, just a casual conversation here with Amanda this morning. Feel free to jump in, ask her any questions at any time, and then we'll open it up to general discussion and question and answer session. And I have a few town updates to provide before we conclude today. So Amanda, welcome. Thank you for joining this morning. And I guess I'd like to get the conversation started by asking you if you could, just kind of talk to us about the libraries, particularly over the past couple of years and in this new COVID world we're living in, how things have changed at the libraries, how you've adapted to serving patrons in a different way, and just, talk to us a little bit about how things have changed.
Sure. It has been a roller coaster the last 2 years, as it has with everybody. We obviously went from being open to being closed, and then turning to do curbside service, which has actually been really interesting and helpful. And we still kind of provide curbside as people request, and trying to find out how to still be in touch with our patrons and providing them with what they need. And also, I think we always knew that we were a strong part of the community and that people looked for us not only for books and movies and stuff, but for connections. And in those first couple of months, we saw that even more so. Like people would call and just want to talk because they hadn't seen anyone in 2 days. We got to know our patrons even more, if that's possible, in that short period of time than we have in the years prior. Because we actually had time to talk to them and find out what they were reading and what they were going through. And in some ways became more of, we've always had social support for them, but we became even more of that. So learning to go from in-person services to kind of a distance service model was a big change for us. But it's been interesting too, and we've learned a lot along the way. We reopened limited for a while, and then as things got better, we were able to open fully, which we've now been open fully for quite a while, both Mason and Ramsdell. It's been different though. Like people coming in are very cautious, some more so than others. We do still see some people kind of just darting in and out, coming in to pick something up and then leaving. Some people are starting to linger a bit more and to catch up. We see a lot of people at our desk spaces in the main reading room, kind of coming and sitting for a while with their computers and working. Our study rooms are back open. It's been good for tutors because we've seen them coming back too. We have not been doing a lot of in-person programming, trying to play it safe, but also we've had some error issues at both libraries because they're older buildings, and we're working on that, but trying to keep everyone as safe as possible. So we've actually gone to a lot of virtual programming, which for the adults has been outstanding. We have had better attendance with virtual programming than we have had with in-person programming at the library in years. So that has been really great. And we've also been able to get programmers from farther afield because we're not having to pay travel fees. So our money is going further and we're able to offer a lot more and different things than we could before. Our family programming has still been kind of a combination of in-person and Zoom. The older kids are okay with Zoom, but the younger kids, that's where we've tried to do outdoor play groups and story times. We had a story walk once a month out front in Mason to kind of help bring families back, but also provide them with an option if they're not comfortable coming in, that they can read a story out there and we have an activity that they can take with them. We've been doing a lot of take-home things, like take-home kits for kids. When we were doing curbside, we did book bundles. So you essentially give us a topic and we will put together a package of books for you to take out. A combination of fiction, nonfiction, picture books for kids, same thing for adults, movies even. So you can have a movie night and we pick them and hopefully you'll like them. And if not, then we take the feedback and go forth from there. So it has been a learning experience, and yet it's also kind of stretched us a bit in what we can do. Looking outside the box as to how to provide services reminds us that we are still very connected, even if we can't physically be together all the time. I think it definitely reminded me how amazing my staff is and how they work together and come together so well and support each other and the community. And I feel very lucky for that. And I think it also kind of pushed the library into more of the digital world, which we kind of been teetering on it. And this kind of gave us the push. We now have the New York Times online, we have the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. We've ramped up our ebook access and audiobooks, and then we've been adding some other video streaming and like Great Courses and Craftsy, where you can actually learn how to do some of the arts and crafts stuff. You can take a course essentially and do it for free from your house. So that's been fun to see that grow. And I think that's going to continue to be something that we look at in the future too. So a very long-winded answer.
No, that's great. Thank you, Mandy. So you touched on a few things in my next question, but if maybe you can elaborate a little. Are there things that you suspect people don't know about our libraries? You touched on activities and programs, but classes, book groups. I'll let you take it from there. But
One thing that always kind of surprises me is that people don't realize we have two libraries, like Mason and Ramsdale, but they both operate with the same staff and within the town. I think before the pandemic, people were not aware of the digital offering so much, and ours were not very robust at that point either. So I think knowing that it's more than just books now, it is encompassing media, it's encompassing research, databases, it's videos. If you want to watch a documentary at home, you now are able to do that. I think too, like most people don't realize that we're the only local place that has the old Berkshire Courier and Berkshire Record on microfilm. So we have like from the 1800s all the way up to when they stopped. And we have a microfilm reader, and you can print from it and you can save it onto a USB drive. So like some local researchers find that extremely helpful. They don't have to drive to Pittsfield. And I think too, like realizing that the library is more than just books. Like it's a community of thinkers, learners, humanitarians. Like we have friendships with our patrons. Like we get to know them, what they read, what their daily lives are like, and having people back in has been really great for the staff and for the patrons too. Like those connections are still there, and they're stronger because of what we have gone through together. So we're not just books, we're a community too.
thanks, Amanda. So I do want to ask you next about this library of things. It's something I've heard about quite a bit. I have to admit, I don't know much about it, and I suspect there are others on the line this morning that don't know much about it, but can you just tell us what the library of things is, how it works? Is it being utilized by patrons, things like that?
Sure. So the library of things launched literally when COVID struck. So the intent was you were going to hear a lot more about it than you did. So we received a $9,800 grant from the federal government, their Library Services and Technology Act, to create a library of things at Ramsdale. And a library of things it's kind of, you can check out objects instead of books. So for example, we started it as an arts and crafts library to be housed at Ramsdale. Housatonic has that very rich history of making. So we started off with sewing machines, hand looms. We had some technology where we had a video camera, a digital camera, podcast equipment, virtual reality goggles, and we were going to have events to go with them to kind of help teach people how to use these things and all of that. And then COVID happened. So we had to cut the programming part. And at that point, we still had to spend the rest of our funds. We're like, okay, let's just go wild. So we started investing in power washers, drills, post hole diggers. We have a ice cream maker. We have an Instapot. Like these are all kits that we've put together. They have books to go with them. They have the instructions and some of the first set of materials to get you started. And people can check them out and give them a try. They go out for 3 weeks. So you have 3 weeks to kind of become very, very familiar with it, decide if, hey, this is great, I want to keep going, or no, I'm glad I didn't spend the money, I don't want it, take it back. We tried to get some everyday articles that people need, but don't necessarily need them all the time. So like, the post hole digger or the power washer. And the great thing is they're all housed at Ramsdale. So you go to Ramsdale, pick them up, take them, use them, bring them back to Ramsdale. And it was a great way to kind of make Ramsdell a destination for a very special collection. So it is grown, and people are actually donating items too, which is fabulous because that allows us to make it even bigger. We do have a 3D printer that we're going to hook up that can be used at Ramsdell. That one we decided was too big for people to be taking back and forth. But it's a great opportunity to try something new without having to pay for it. So,
Is there a list of those items on your website?
yes, yes,
Okay.
there is. Yeah. And you can request them so that they're, when you get there, it'll show if it's checked out too. So if our website has all of the information, and then there are booklets at both Mason and Ramsdell where you can kind of actually look through it if you'd rather.
Great.
And we've gotten pretty good at providing support for lots of different things.
I bet it's much more extensive than I thought. I've
Yeah.
heard of a library of things before. I know they're kind of a new thing for public libraries, but I always thought of it as more like what you led with, a sewing machine, a pasta maker, or something like that. I had no idea that you also offered tools and post hole diggers and things like that. That's really great.
Yeah, we've even got a drill, staple gun, a laminator. It's kind of all over the place, but it's great because they're things that we kind of asked amongst ourselves and our patrons, like, what do you want that you use occasionally, but don't want to buy it yourself? And it's
Right.
been a fun way to kind of explore that, and also for us to learn about different things.
Right. So are some of these items donated, or are they purchased only?
Most of them at this point were purchased. Going forward, we're probably going to be going more for donations, and then what the board and I can kind of fund through the board's funds too. And then maybe another grant down the line as well. Great.
Well, it would be, I think it would be really helpful for us to get some information out on our Facebook page and Instagram page on that. I think spreading the word so that people know that's available to them would be really helpful.
Definitely, and all they need is a local library card.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Great.
do not live in Great Barrington, you can still, or Housatonic, you can still partake in it too. As far as I know, outside of Pittsfield, we're the only one in the area that has it. So that's pretty cool too.
Nice. So moving on, I guess I'm curious to hear from you about future plans for the libraries, both Ramsdell and Mason, as far as programming, expansions, renovations, plans, anything, what's coming down the road?
I think still navigating the COVID world and trying to figure out, how we're going to live with this on a daily basis, and kind of get into a routine with that. Looking at programming, I think essentially COVID kind of changed our adult programming, and it changed it for the better. So looking at when we're able to have in-person programming again, like having a hybrid of it, either the program is offered in person but has a virtual component, or if we kind of do one is in person and another series is online. For the virtual adult programming, we're able to have it later at night, and that has made a big difference too. I think it's the timing, and it is easier to have those later events with staff when they can do it from home. I think that the type of programming, like being able to tap a wider market, has also helped allow us to bring the topics that people are actually interested in to us. And that has been really helpful. So I want to keep continuing on that vein. And I want to get back to in-person kids programming, because I do, as a parent, I do see the kids need that face-to-face. Not that as adults we don't either, but it's even more important for them. So I'm hoping, as more children become eligible for vaccinations, and as things kind of settle, that we'll be able to do that again.
Do you think
building wise, I am looking forward to Ramsdell hopefully becoming handicapped accessible, so we can really move forward with that. and give Ramsdell its full ability to be what it needs to be. So I'm looking forward to the ramp, hopefully going forward with that. And obviously, updating both of them as needed. That Mason was renovated. Oh goodness, I think it was 2007. So it's also starting to show its age. Ramsdell obviously needs some help too. But also looking at how the use of libraries now is very different than when both buildings were built. So kind of looking more at the interior space and how we can best use it and how it would best suit the community. So that's exciting to think about that. And I think the other thing I would love to do and love to work on is bringing fiber to both libraries so that we can actually have that really fast connection, so that people can come here, do research, do work, actual work, and have that constant fast connection. I think that would be great. And then, growing the library things is another thing I would like to continue with, and looking at some more video streaming options, which a lot of libraries have become more and more interested in that. Like, we'll never be able to offer Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, but there are other streaming services that we could offer, and I would like to keep going forward because I do think those are going to overtake physical DVDs at some point. And then we'll have space for something else, but making sure we're still going forward with digital trends.
So before we move into questions for Amanda, I just want to encourage everyone to check out the Great Barrington Library's website. It's gblibraries.org. Is that correct?
Yep, we redid it last year, so it's bright and shiny and more user-friendly.
Great. Any questions for Amanda from the group? Just go ahead and either ask your question or raise your hand. Either way is fine with me. Go ahead, Robin.
Amanda, you said something about in the future perhaps taking donations for the Library of Things. Can you let us know or put out on the Facebook page, let Eileen Mooney know so that those of us who might have donations, and also if you could be, when you are ready at that stage, a bit more specific about what you're seeking. I think there's quite a number of us that would have things to donate.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have a few comments and a question with like 4 different hats on. So firstly, as a library patron, I thank you for the digital newspapers. The Washington Post has been great. I subscribe to the Times, but the Post, I wouldn't do that as an individual, so thank you. As a neighbor of the library, I've loved the outdoor children's programming. I hear children singing in the background, or I did until it got cold. And I know there were tents donated by the Friends of the Library, which is my next hat. As the president of the Friends of the Library, you're welcome. Also, I think the book giveaways that we're doing outside, so really with that hat on, I just want to thank you and the rest of the staff for your flexibility and letting us in and out and giving us space. That's been really easy and great. Select board hat. Somebody asked me, I just sent you an email, I don't know if you got it, about, are you still using volunteers?
Yes, we are still using volunteers at both libraries. We rely heavily on our volunteers to kind of help us with bigger projects and to help with shelving, pulling books off the shelf to go to other libraries, helping with children's story times, things like that. So we're always looking for people to come and join us.
Who do they contact?
Christine Warner, who is the adult circulation supervisor at Mason.
Great. And then the last one, at least in Mason, isn't fiber just a matter of, I know it's there in the basement.
It's here, but there's something else there's some stuff that I think has to do with like firewalls and stuff like that, connection to town hall and things. So I think that's part of it. But then there's also trying to figure out, I know at one point there was talk about using a repeater from town hall to here, but it would have to go through the historic commission because of being a historic building and all that stuff. So I know it's still in the works, but
Okay,
again, as with much, COVID kind of happened too.
if I can help you nudge that along, let me know.
That would
Either
be great.
through what's already in the basement or through Fiber Connect.
Mhm.
Just down.
Yeah, yeah, because we've got the switch down in the basement, so it is
Right.
literally just getting it into the building.
Okay, thank you. And
And
thank
thank
you
you
for
to the friends too for all you guys have done.
Any other questions or comments for Amanda? If I can't see your face, if your camera's off, just go ahead and raise your hand using the raise your hand option. No, I'm not seeing any. So, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This has been really helpful, and we'll do our best to get the word out about your library of things. And you know, oh, looks like we have a hand up. No, it went down. Sorry. Anyway, thank you again, and I'd love to have you back sometime, maybe in a few months to check in again.
Sounds good. Thanks for the
Thank you
opportunity.
again. Thank you. I'll let you get back to work.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just provide a few town-related updates, and then we'll open it up to a general discussion here. If anyone else has any questions that on topics I did not cover, or questions for anyone else on the line. I mentioned at our last virtual coffee that our front step project and the Taconic Avenue retaining wall and steps were nearing completion, and I'm really happy to report this month that the Taconic retaining wall and steps are complete at this point. They're reopened for use over there. I don't know if you've driven by and noticed, they look beautiful. The contractor did an excellent job over there. The front step project is wrapping up now as well. The fencing came down late last week, and they're just putting the final touches on cleanup, and that should be open within a day or so too. We're right now, I would say our highest priority, at least this week, is COVID and navigating illnesses with staff and multiple departments, particularly our public safety departments, and providing support to our residents. So, I met with our staff this morning at 9 o'clock to talk about how we're going to approach this in the coming week or two. So you may see some news coming out about that in the way of temporary closures of some buildings and things like that. We're still working through what that will look like at the moment. We're also working on our fiscal 23 budget right now, and our capital planning is well underway. We usually start that process in late November, early December, and then we present publicly our first draft budget around February 1st. So our budget season schedule is posted, and we'll be getting some information out there to everyone that would like to participate in that very, very soon. We also have a priority project planning meeting coming up at the end of January. It's Monday, January 31st. It'll be at 6 o'clock. And we'll be reviewing our high and moderate priority project list that we've been developing for almost 3 years now. So we've completed a number of those projects. They're still listed on that list at the bottom as completed, so you can actually see the progress we've made over the past 2 or 3 years. And then we just have an opportunity to talk as a board and as staff about ranking those priorities. Where will staff spend their time and attention over the next 6 months until we revisit it again? So that's all I have on my list for this morning. Does anyone have any questions or any comments for the group? Everyone on the screen, your mics are open, so just go ahead and chime in.
I guess a quick Wi-Fi comment, and I assume you know this, Richard, that the free downtown Wi-Fi is actually up and live and running. We're working on a press release. It's not by no means complete. The first repeater, if that's what you call them, or router, is up and on the front of Richard's building. So we're getting started. And Mark, are you working this week, or are you just hanging out fishing in Maine?
I'm here in Maine today. I'm going to drop my daughter off at Logan on the way home, and I'll be back to work later today and tomorrow morning. So.
All right, there's a press release in the works that we should talk about before it goes too much further.
Okay, great.
Let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And thank you, Richard.
You're
I
welcome.
have two different questions. One, Mark, would it be possible for next month's meeting to invite either Rebecca or Ned to come and talk to us and give us a little bit of clarity on the COVID situation as far as protocols? I think there's widespread confusion.
Absolutely. In the meantime, you're welcome to reach out to them. Betsy, I don't know if you've been in touch with Rebecca and Ned, or if they've been in touch with you, but we're happy to provide any support we can within the limits of the Board of Health's current advisory status. That is anyway.
I have been in touch with Rebecca. We had a good long talk. The upshot of which was that there's apparently, I may say the name wrong, Tri-Town Health something, together with another organization, something, that is about to enter into negotiations with the state to try and buy some more low-cost rapid tests for distribution beyond the underserved population. And I'd be very interested in hearing what the plan is for distribution of those. I had reached out to her to see if merchants would qualify for those of us who want to test regularly and test our staff. That's my first thought. Then I have a completely different topic that I'd like to see if we could brainstorm with. This is a very broad group that we have attending and participating today, and that is specifically on workforce housing ideas and what we can generate, what in time to get on the warrant, if that's appropriate. And we have a couple of real estate developers and other stakeholders here.
Great. As far as the rapid tests go, we did qualify for about 1,100 sets of tests, which are I think there's two tests per kit. Those were all distributed to low-income housing and low-income residents in town. That was their intent from the governor's office. In fact, she just updated us as a staff this morning, letting us know that she had distributed all of those to not only the low-income housing units in Great Barrington and Housatonic, but also several organizations that serve low-income residents. So now we're shifting gears, looking at ways of purchasing testing kits to help everyone else in town. So that is something that's on our mind. We're working, staff is working right now to develop a plan. You may see a recommendation from staff to spend a portion of the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act funding, to the select board later this month. So that's still in the works.
And then to my second question, is there an opportunity in the time remaining to just throw out ideas about what we can do for workforce housing, otherwise known as housing that's affordable? Lots of other names for it.
We're working with our community partners, in particular CDC. They have a new housing development. Allison, were you on last month's call with Allison?
Yeah, I'm a member of the board of the CDC.
Oh, right.
Several of us on this call are, but I want to sort of brainstorm beyond the Windrush project, beyond some of the projects that are on the table. Is there something else we can do? Can we float a bond, for example?
Robin, let me just chime in for a second to get some people to understand. So what the CDC is doing, and specifically with Windrush and our previous project at 100 Bridge, we have no control, nor does Berkshire Housing, who is administering that on our behalf, the CDC, on who applies and who gets accepted. So at first blush, it may seem like we are creating workforce housing, but in fact, that's not necessarily the case, because we cannot discriminate in any way, shape, or form about who either applies or who is eligible for an apartment. So workforce housing is really a very different discussion. And this is where the town, through what Robin is suggesting, has tools to deal with it in a different way than we can at the CDC through our funding. And our funding, it goes through the state, but at the end of the day, it's really our partners that help finance it that really call the tune. And that means that we virtually have no say. So that's really a very different approach to how we deal with literal workforce housing. Mark, I don't know if you're aware of what I just said. You probably are, but
Yeah, I was thinking as I was listening to you both speak that perhaps a good guest to have on one of these virtual coffees in the future would be someone from our Affordable Housing Trust. They are thinking about not only low income housing, but also workforce housing, and may be able to provide some updates on the North Plain Road project and other ideas that they have for creating more housing.
okay.
Is a bond a possibility? Is that, I'm not familiar with the procedural.
I'm not sure what you mean, but you mean the town developing
Municipal bond, a municipal bond. But in truth, Robin, when you look at a municipal bond, you're talking about having to pay back money at a rate. Regular mortgage rates, I think, are maybe a point and a half higher than what towns can borrow and have to pay back money at. So we're not talking about a significant game changer in what the affordability would be for building. And that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, it's certainly an avenue for helping to fund it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't write down the costs in the way that when we at the CDC do housing, and that money, support money, starts with DHCD giving us a huge chunk of money that doesn't ever get paid back.
Yeah, that's why I was suggesting earlier that we would work with our partners like the CDC. We're not really, as a municipality, in the business of necessarily creating housing. We're involved with it and work with developers like Habitat and CDC, but I wouldn't say I see the town, leading that discussion and becoming the developer.
Okay, thank you.
I think what Robin was suggesting was not necessarily the developer, but help fund it, which sounds
and we
on
do.
the face of it like a good idea. On the other hand, it ends up having to get paid back.
Right. And you will see each year on our town warrant, almost each year on our town warrant, we do provide significant funding in the way of CPA, Community Preservation Act. A third of that funding that we collect through taxation is earmarked for affordable and workforce housing. So you will see that each year. We're committed to that, and you'll see it again this year on our warrant.
I guess my question comes out of frustration, and I'm wearing my merchant hat. I'm not wearing my CDC hat here. It's the health situation in town. It's obvious to everyone is desperate. Businesses are closing on a regular basis because they can't, on days when they absolutely are losing revenue because there's no staffing. And as Richard clearly stated, a lot of the projects that are done through the CDC, we don't control. So they're not what I would consider workforce housing. And I'm just trying to come up with, in a broader sense, some creative solutions that we maybe haven't explored that we might explore. And perhaps it is the Affordable Housing Trust person that could help us, or I'm asking out of desperation, truly.
Yeah, I think it would be great for us to have someone from the Affordable Housing Trust come in. They're much more tuned into projects that they have in the pipeline. And also, I would encourage you to attend their meetings. They have active conversations about developing more housing options here, particularly in Great Barrington, on a regular basis. So.
Mark, can you speak I don't know, did you see the article about what seemed to be incredibly windfall revenues at Lennox for their, the taxation of meals and lodging? Now, I know we don't have the Canyon Ranch to help contribute in that way. Do you have any thumbnail reports on that?
I unfortunately don't have it with me. I'm traveling. If I was out in my office at the moment, I'd be able to grab it. But that is information I can provide to you. And in fact, we'll be discussing that in more detail in a few weeks when we get our budget process underway. But yes, cannabis revenue, rooms tax, meals tax, our revenues are very, very strong in Great Barrington at the moment.
Yeah, because that might be a more practical way of helping to fund some of this workforce housing, because now you're talking about real money, doesn't have to get paid back. It needs to be part of perhaps a financing support system.
Right. Anyone else with a? Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Affordable Housing Trust, I did have a conversation with, is it Fred Clark?
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
So another organization with great ambitions and no money. So they're kind of like at the same, the same point. Everybody wants housing. If I guess, stating the obvious, I'm part owner of a shovel-ready project that I think everybody's pretty familiar with. And, when I started the process with the town, I was a much younger man. And then we finally got through the last series of hurdles and obstruction and pulled the building permits just in time for the lockdown from the state of emergency. And what has unfolded since then. So it really needs a contractor investor combination. And just like that, you would have 22 new housing units with great walkability to town. So if I can be so bold to anybody on the call to spread the word in their networks, it's there, it's on the public market, and somebody will have a great opportunity. So, or a collection of people will have a great opportunity. And I think that's the kind of thing that Robin, is trying to ignite. So it's there, it's ready to go. You can put a
Those
shovel in
aren't
the ground.
earmarked to be affordable housing or workforce housing though, right? Those are just, what's the
Whatever
average cost of those units?
Whatever the owner decides to market them at, that's what they'll be marketed at.
Oh.
There's no prescription.
We're still also very hopeful that the Maple Avenue, the former, blanking on the name of it, the nursing home on Maple Avenue will be developed as well. They did receive a special permit, and I believe it's on the market at the moment. Also looking for a developer similar to your situation, Tom. Sharon, go ahead. I see your. Sharon, you can go ahead and just open your mic.
Well, I just wanted to first ask Tom, what is this project you're referring to? I'm just catching up with all this stuff.
So we have a shovel-ready project, which means you can go down there and start building this afternoon or for lunch. And it's at the corner of Main Street, South Main Street, and Mahawi Street. So approximately 2 blocks south of Dunkin' Donuts on the same side. It's a nice, beautiful, empty lot. And we took down a very derelict building over 12 years ago now.
And it's
been a real
available for
process.
somebody to, buy and build on? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a shovel. As I said in my comments, when I started this, I was a much younger man. And now I'm quite a bit older. So, you know, it really needs to be done with somebody that's got a longer timeline available to them than I do. So, yeah, I mean, it's ready to go. We went through a couple of iterations of this, which, if you want to call me offline, I could fill you in. And as late as 2019, we were in a vibrant discussion whether this housing would ever get permitted. But in the end, we were able to win on the merits. And sadly, we had to go to some great expenses, which included going to the Attorney General to undo some things that were done improperly in the processing. But we're all beyond that now. So it's ironic how much the attitude towards housing has changed in the 2 years when we were in that vigorous debate, which Mark
Thank
is
you.
familiar
Thank
with.
you very much for bringing me up to date a bit on this. I did have a question also for you, Mark, and it's not about housing. I wanted to just ask you about your own policy for responding to people that contact you, because I've contacted you once by email a while ago, and then more recently by, once by phone and more recently by email. And I didn't hear back, and so I was just wondering if I don't get a response, I don't know what it means. So I just wanted to hear any thoughts you have about that. I don't know if you recall my email to you. It was about the construction of the road and sidewalks on Bridge, and that went on kind of
Yes.
into the night.
Actually, Sharon, I did reply to your email, and I would highly encourage you to check your spam folder. We've been
Thank you.
having, yeah, we've been, and I apologize. There's really no way for us to get this message out, and but we've been having a real problem over the past, I would say, 2 to 3 months with town emails from townofgb.org going into spam folders. So I do apologize for that. If you just check in there, you'll find it. I think I recall your email was related to the Bridge and Bentley paving project. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I did reply to your email. I'm sorry, there was a delay in getting back to you, but I did reply. If you don't find it, let me know and I can resend it to you again.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, just shoot me another email if you don't see it, and I'll
I can't.
resend that. I apologize.
Okay, because I had raised in that a larger issue of communication around these construction projects, and certainly there's been a lot going on at Bridge and Bentley. And I think that I'm hoping that in the future there is a more streamlined way of letting neighbors know what's happening when, because it can be very disruptive when you just sort of learn that, okay, this is going to be going on for hours and it's going to create this much noise and this much kind of havoc, when the streets are closed and whatnot. And I know we're going to be having more building over here through CDC, so I would love to work with people on that when the time comes, okay?
Yeah, we're always walking that fine line. And you'll see in my response, I did mention that we're starting to utilize our reverse 911 system. And we're able to circle neighborhoods. So if there's a construction project, for example, after that project, we had another similar project over on the Rossiter and Elm Court neighborhood of town. And we just sent a call out. Again, we don't reach everyone because it requires anyone without a landline to actually sign up. So we're not going to hit everyone, but we hit as many people as we possibly can. We also post notices on our Facebook page and Instagram page when there may be disruptions in traffic or water or sewer or what have you. So we are trying to step up our game a bit and let people know, but we're always walking that fine line between, moving projects forward and the disruptions that they cause for residents. So I But again, if you don't mind, just check your email and you'll see I did address that in there as well. But you're always welcome to call me. I do try very, very hard. I get hundreds of emails per day, and I often am in meetings, back-to-back meetings throughout the day. So I will generally reply to my emails and phone calls later in the day, early evening sometimes. But I do try my best to get back to everyone.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Sure. Anyone else with a question or comment this morning? No. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It looks like we had about 14 people total on the line this morning, and we'll reconvene next month, first Wednesday at 10 a.m. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mark.
See you soon.